finally, I get to talk about Ys, one of my favorite RPG series of all time. I've loved the Ys series for years now, and I'm fortunate enough to own some form of every single entry in the series so far, weird strategy games that never came out stateside notwithstanding. And thus, I followed Ys 8 eagerly while it was in development up until its release on the PS4, Vita, and PC. And then, nothing. I don't know why I opted against buying it at launch. Perhaps it was because the Vita version, which I was most heavily considering, had a fair share of performance issues supposedly. Or perhaps because the English translation at launch was so subpar that NIS America released an update patch for the game fixing it, along with a formal apology. However, maybe it was because I was partway through a move to Canada when it was released, and just happened to forget about it. I nearly picked it up at several points last year, but shortly around the time when I got my own Nintendo Switch, I heard murmurings of a Switch port for this newest entry in the Ys series. This Switch version of Ys 8 isn't out until later this month, but I was fortunate enough to have NIS America send me a review code, and I'm excited to dive right into this. So, is Ys 8 for the Nintendo Switch right for you, whether you be an RPG fan, Ys fan, or not? Well, that's what we're going to find out in today's video. Welcome to Stuff We Play, where for the first time ever I'm reviewing an RPG in depth that's not Pokemon. I know, right? And if that sounds cool to you, why not subscribe? And today we're looking at Ys 8 for the Nintendo Switch, a game that once again follows the adventures of Adol Christin. Yes, Adol. I know they pronounce it Adol in game, but if you've been playing the Ys series for a long time, then you know in the early games it was pronounced Adol. He'll always be Adol to me. Two bits of heads up before I begin. First off, yes, NIS America did graciously send me a review code of this game, and I appreciate that, but don't think that's going to cloud my judgment. Second off though, this is probably the longest entry in the Ys series yet, definitely being about a 40+ hour adventure, at least. But for your sake, and so as to not spoil the plot of this game, I will only be showing gameplay from the first few hours of the game, but do keep in mind that not only have I beaten the game, but I'm partway through a second playthrough right now. But anyways, with that, let's get right into the story. Ys 8, Lacrimosa of Dana takes place between the events of Ys 4, specifically its phenomenal PlayStation Vita remake, Ys Memories of Celceta, and the rather mediocre Ys 5 on the Super Nintendo. Adol and his pal Doji have taken temporary positions as sailors so as to pay their way to the faraway land of Xandria, where Ys 5 is set. They are working under the command of Captain Barbaros, who warns Adol to keep a lookout as they pass the island of Seiren, an island with a Bermuda Triangle-esque reputation of ships mysteriously going missing if they happen to come too close to it. It is soon after this that the ship gets attacked by a giant tentacle monster. Don't worry, anime fans, this title is rated T for teen, which is quickly fought off by Adol. However, the creature takes the ship down with it, and soon Adol washes up on a mysterious shore. He then stumbles upon Laxia, who in true anime fashion is nude upon their first encounter, and accuses Adol of being a pervert. Soon after meeting her, they come across the captain. After a bit of adventuring, they find a calm alcove on the island and deduce that they have wound up in the mysterious island of Seiren, and that for the time being they will build a castaway village here. Adol, Laxia, and soon Doji and another character named Sahad, who is a fatherly fisherman, set off across the island to rescue castaways, build up their castaway village, and eventually build a ship to escape Seiren, meet new mysterious friends who will fight for you, or enemies who will try to kill you, and find the secrets behind several mysteries. Mainly, what are the Primordials, large dinosaur-esque creatures which roam this land, and who is Dana, a mysterious girl who frequently appears in Adol's dreams. Though Ys's series, which is typically known for being lighter on story and heavier on action, I found myself to be drawn into the story here. Yeah, the premise is simple, find castaways and explore the island, also try not to die while you're at it, but I couldn't help but be drawn into it. The character interactions really bolstered things here. I loved it when I would stumble upon a new castaway and see their reaction to being saved, and then see how they would contribute to the village and interact with other villagers. Perhaps my favorite scenes would be whenever you would set up camp while exploring, and your party would sit down around a campfire and just talk with one another. As the game goes on, you witness these characters slowly put down their mental barriers and become increasingly close-knit, eventually becoming like a family. And of course, this makes any characters who meet an untimely end throughout the course of the story have just that much more impact as well. And that's almost all I'll say, since there's a lot here and I don't want to spoil much. Though I can say that none of the translation issues I heard of from the PC version seem to be here. Typos appear to be at a minimum, and I find the voice acting here to be absolutely top-notch. Honestly, no major complaints from me story-wise. One place where the game does falter a little though is the presentation. I mean, don't get me wrong, the soundtrack is phenomenal. Sure, the title theme and some of the more intense story moments here are more orchestral, and they're great and all, but in true Ys fashion, 90% of the soundtrack here is energetic hard rock that gets you pumped up to explore Seiren, find loot, and kill monsters. Seriously, I absolutely adore the music here, and I'm extremely tempted to import the official soundtrack from Japan. The same praises cannot be given to the graphics though. While I am keeping in mind that this game was originally developed with the PlayStation Vita in mind, it definitely looks like something you'd see in an earlier PS3 game. Not to say it looks dull per se, as the characters are vibrant with their wacky colorful anime hair and whatnot, and the island is lush and full of interestingly designed monsters and beasts, but it definitely isn't pushing the Switch to its limits. Keep in mind, this system launched with Breath of the Wild. While not boring to look at, it certainly isn't impressive either. And I know it's an island surrounded by mountains and whatnot, but is it just me or do a lot of these rocks seem jarringly murky? Maybe I'm just nitpicking, especially since what this game lacks graphically, it makes up for with its gameplay. RPGs, even action RPGs, are typically known for having a slower pace than most other genres of games, though Ys has always been an outlier to that. Ys 8 is no exception here, and it truly puts that action in action RPG. When you first take control of Adol, you have 4 basic things you can do. You can dash by pressing the L button, swing your sword, jump, and lock onto enemies by pressing the X button. However, this very soon after expands, as you can also select one of 4 equipable special skills by holding in the R button and pressing any of the face buttons on your Joy-Con, which you can map at your leisure by the way. Furthermore, you soon go from being a party of 1 to a party of 3 and can swap characters at any time by pressing the Y button. You'll eventually get more characters that you can swap in and out of your party, which, like with healing items and such, you can do at any time during gameplay by accessing the menu by pressing start. And when I say swap characters at any time, I mean literally any time as long as they aren't fainted. Like, you can be mid-attack, press Y, and immediately switch and have a character complete that attack. This is made even better if you manage to master dodge rolls and skill finishes. And overall, combat and exploration here manages to feel both fast and frantic, while also making you as a player feel totally in control. There's never a dull moment here either, and while I did notice a frame rate drop on 1 or 2 occasions, for some reason this only occurred during cutscenes. It wasn't very often, but still strange when it happened. Thankfully, it never did happen during regular gameplay, and regardless, this game is a ton of fun and manages to satiate my will to explore while still having the potential of being rather linear, story-wise anyways. Main story points are marked with big yellow icons on your map, and thus it's near impossible to get lost. If you find an area that you just can't access, it's because you just don't have the means to get to it yet. While I'm sure you could get this game beat in a significantly faster time than I did if you skipped the side quest events such as village raids and beast hunts, you're really and truly missing out if you skip these. Plus, they give you a lot of new items and additions to the village, which may prove useful, especially once you unlock the weapon and armor upgrade shop. The only part of the gameplay that really dragged for me was the fishing minigame. I don't know why games often feel compelled to include minigames such as this. I didn't like fishing in Ocarina of Time, and I don't care for it here either, though thankfully fishing is almost completely optional, and the minigame itself is pretty harmless. It's a minor gripe that, on the whole, doesn't really affect an overall fantastic gameplay experience. Now, I hear some of you asking, James, will you be able to recommend this game at full price? After all, it is a port of a game that at this point is 2 years old. Now, understand, usually my response to that would be a hearty no. I mean, you have to keep in mind, I love and adore Mario Kart 8 Deluxe, but I still won't recommend that at full price. But this is different. After all, this is a full RPG adventure. Along with having a great story mode that you can really sink your teeth into, Ys 8 has multiple difficulty settings and easily skippable cutscenes for those who really want to try to speedrun. And by the way, I'm partway through a nightmare difficulty run myself, and I think the price is definitely justified here because of all the content there is. Also, as a nice touch, when the game launches, there'll be a variety of free DLC available to download, mainly in the form of new costumes. So if you want to dress your party up as pirates, make the female characters wear skimpy swimsuits, or even do what I did and have Adol wear his classic outfit from the earlier Ys games, you can do that all here, and at no extra charge. Ys 8 Lacrimosa of Dana is by no means a perfect game, but it's so rare for me nowadays to play a game, an RPG no less, and for my first thought after beating it to be to go back and play through the game a second time. It's a game that's simple enough and easy enough on low difficulties for me to recommend to those who aren't typically into RPGs, and there's enough here and the game is certainly hard enough on the harder difficulties that hardcore RPG fans will definitely get their fill here. Though available on other platforms, Ys 8 for the Nintendo Switch is definitely the definitive way to experience this game. The best thing about this game is I find it runs just as well in handheld mode as it does in docked mode. And thus, a lot of the experience I got for this review, I actually got while I was traveling. It's funny, Adol was out adventuring and traveling, and I was traveling while playing this game. Whether you be a JRPG fan or not, or whether you be an Ys fan, or whether this be your first time playing an entry in the Ys series, this game comes highly recommended by me. And if you own a Nintendo Switch, then this is definitely a must-buy. You know, this game is really great. I'm not sure if I like it more than Memories of Celceta, but this might be up there as one of my favorite Ys games. I had an absolute blast with this, but you know what? I may be beginning to ramble on just a bit. Do you have any memories with the Ys series? Are you picking up Ys 8 Lacrimosa of Dana for the Nintendo Switch? Let me know your thoughts down in the comment section below. And while you're at it, why don't you subscribe to Stuff We Play for more great content like this, or even back us on Patreon, because every dollar earned from Patreon does go back into the channel itself. So with that, thank you very much for watching, stay classy, and I'll see you next time.